Go. Recording.
Welcome to the first of our community conversations, everyone. Now we're starting recording.
So yes, we have a couple more conversations coming up. We miss our friends, we miss our folks, and so we wanted to see you, albeit virtually, and this is great because we get to talk about the fun stuff that happened during our summer camp. So welcome and thank you for coming. Kayla.
Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Hawkinson. I also work in the Community Engagement and Education Department. And yeah, we're just very excited to get to figure out a way to navigate our brave new world that is technology and arts on a computer at home. But it's been fun. So far, so good. We just, our 2-week summer program was really awesome. The kids had a blast and we had a blast. So it was really fun to figure out how we can move forward, and we've proved that it works. One way or another, it worked, and that was really great for us. It was a great learning experience. So yeah, excited.
Zach, you want to talk about yourself?
So I'm Zach Pearson. I am a teaching artist and actor and musician. I graduated from Syracuse University with a BFA in acting in December, and yeah, fun world to graduate into, but now I am actually going to return in a week to Syracuse for my master's degree in social work, and I'm hoping to combine my arts training with that to continue to do arts-based therapy and teaching work. So,
Miss Keene.
Hi, I'm Alex Keene. I am a rising senior musical theater major in the drama department at Syracuse, and I have interned with the education department for a couple of semesters and was lucky enough to intern this summer with the summer program.
And my name's Kate Leslie, is how you pronounce that weird last name. I work as the Associate Director of Education at Syracuse Stage. So our summer program, just as an overview, we've been talking about it, 2 weeks, we had about 32 students. How we worked it is we had one lead instructor who was Whitney Pack, who's not going to be able to join us tonight, along with myself, Michaela, Joanne, Zach, Alex, and then another Alex, and Adam and Corinne. So we had a large team of people, both SU interns and then professional teaching artists as part of this. We did use, as an overarching picture, how we approached our summer program was from kind of a trauma-informed perspective. We took the time to make sure that we had trauma-informed training, both from Michaela's friends at BOCES. Michaela used to work with the BOCES program for that. And so from kind of an academic perspective on that and the neuroscience behind trauma, because even if we don't want to admit it, we're kind of undergoing a mass trauma right now. As well as from an arts lens. So we had a professional teaching artist who works both in Philadelphia and New York at several different theaters there, give us her training on how to do classroom situations with that. Now, of course, the classroom situations are slightly different on Zoom, but one of the things that at least I found a lot of power with, and I don't know, I think my colleagues can agree, is that one of the things we did was almost a little bit of role playing, of kind of analyzing what our own things that kind of set us off in a classroom are, like not focusing, and how we can reframe that in our brains and how we can kind of best handle that in a classroom situation, particularly a digital classroom. So already anticipating a bit of the issues that us knowing middle schoolers and you guys knowing your student body as well as you do, thinking about how that works. How we segmented it up is Whitney Pack wrote about half the script for the show, and then the other half was something that the students wrote. So we had a hybrid model of both already written work and then new work. So that was something that we were able to have the students who were maybe a bit more comfortable with learning lines and students who were maybe a bit more comfortable with creating new work. We also had large group meetings that we started off with. Started with either warm-ups by Michaela, which were using like full body warm-ups, or smaller kind of popcorn exercises that Zach used a lot of. something that was kind of making our whole group cohesive. And then we would go into breakout rooms, which if you all haven't used breakout rooms yet, highly recommend getting very familiar with breakout rooms on Zoom. And then we had those be small groups. We had those small groups be anywhere between 4 and 7 students. And those were the ones who were writing in those small groups. And then coming back for the large groups, we also stressed having a lot of, oh great, we're having people introduce themselves in the chat. Brilliant. If you guys want to do all that, or if we want to do popcorn around and we can talk about who we each are. I'm just giving you an overview, and then I'd love to get to know you guys. So let's do that. Then we had off-screen activities for an hour, which was something that we found very valuable, giving them something to do off-screen and then bringing back and sharing afterwards. So that's kind of an overview of what we did, but I'd love to hear who each of you are and what your perspectives are. From my camera, I'm going to start it. So Misty.
I had to unmute myself, figure out where that was. So you want to know my perspective, right?
Yeah, so where are you coming from? What's your interest in this? All that.
I am privileged enough to bring students from Chittenango High School to see the wonderful shows on Syracuse at Syracuse Stage every year. So we get subscriptions, and we end up chatting about the show, whatever it is, like during the next week, just either in the hallways and sometimes on the way back from the show and all that. We have pretty introspective students and analytical students who like to come. It's open to everybody, but about 30 of them. So it's a lot of fun. And I also teach a dramatics class at school. So trying to figure out how to really utilize that to teach them how to get along in this world, whatever world they're in.
Thank you. Pam is the next person on my screen.
My name's Pam Murchison. I'm the executive director of Symphoria, and a huge fan of all of my friends and colleagues over at Syracuse Stage. I moved here about a year ago from West Virginia, and it's great to be back in a town that has really great professional theater. And we've partnered with Stage on a number of occasions. Just even in the past year, we had some students, SU drama students, performing with us on a concert in February, and we were just about to do a really cool partnership during Amadeus, and that's right when everything shut down. So, certainly love to hear what other sectors are doing. There's some really nice overlaps between symphonic music and theater. There are some differences, and I don't think we borrow the differences enough from each other in our industries. And Joanne also invited me here too, because, there's this really crazy new school year ahead of us. And we've done some polling and surveying of music educators in the region about what you need in your classroom to be able to have access. We don't see a situation where we can go into the Liverpool schools with a full orchestra and play for 900 kids, which is what we did last October. So what can we do? What opportunities are available for us within these new parameters? And so we're learning really, really interesting stuff about mechanical rights and licensing and computer algorithms and what that means for live streamed events. But certainly here to learn more about what educators need, and then different ways that we can share what we have available to you and keep refining what we're doing to be here for the students and the teachers too, provide some resources.
Thank you. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa Morgan. I teach high school English at C.W. Baker High School in Baldwinsville. I'm here today because one of my senior class is actually called Literature for the Stage and Screen, and a huge component of that class is coming to Syracuse Stage, watching theatrical productions, and then writing theater reviews and talking about set design and light design and like all aspects of theater. And so the question this year comes up that if we're not in Syracuse at Stage personally, how am I giving my students what they need in terms of the arts and, teaching them about play production and structure and all of that. So that's why I'm here today, to start coming up with ideas that can help not only me, but my colleagues who, every one of us teaches plays. each one of our grade levels, they'll go to Syracuse Stage at one point during the year. And so how do we kind of supplement that this year in some way? So that's why I'm here.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Dawn.
I'm just a mom from one of the campers, but I'm also a speech therapist, and I work for both students at a private agency. And when I'm not doing that, I'm teaching 4th and 5th graders at my school after school hours on scene design, painting, props design. So I'm just here to see what you guys are going to do. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn.
Nice.
What about you, Jack? Jack Thomas?
Hi, my name is Jack. I'm like I said, I'm starting as a freshman in the great Syracuse University, and I'm starting in the drama department. I've been acting all throughout my career since middle school, and it's just a big part of my life. And in the bedroom, this all.
Nice.
Jacqueline, what about you?
Hi. I'm just sort of eavesdropping because I'm making dinner, but I actually live in Michigan, and I am a teaching artist who I don't work in the public schools, but I'm a teaching artist, so I work for a lot of different programs.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So really, I've been really intimidated with getting into online teaching. I'm going to be teaching a couple theater classes this fall, and I'm just still overwhelmed in how to even enter into it. So anytime I see anything on Facebook that's telling me I can check out some, learn some more stuff. So I'm just going to turn my screen off and I'm going to listen, and I'm just going to learn. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you, Jacqueline.
You're so welcome.
What about you, Justin?
Nah. I'm just here to listen. I'm really interested in what you guys have to say.
Great. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Jason.
Yeah, I'm just here to listen to it. I just want to hear what the teachers have to say,
Cool. And Michael.
I'm also here to listen. I'm kind of interested in all this. Thinking about becoming a teacher maybe one day.
Awesome. Great. So I think some of the things that we can talk about a little bit, I know Melissa was questioning about what is going on in the fall in terms of different opportunities. From our perspective, at least at the children's tour, we can talk a bit about that. What we've moved towards is having an all virtual children's tour. So our children's tour normally goes out to our local elementary schools and reaches between 8,000 and 10,000 kids every year. Knowing what the fall, or not knowing truly, what school's going to look like in the fall locally, what we have shifted towards is having an online package. So we're going to be recording the show, which is Danny King of the Basement, and having that as a link available to schools for 48 hours. Now, how we've done that is we've worked with the rights holders of that show, making sure that it's something that's still local, and are going to be doing that along with a really robust study guide package that I think Michaela can talk a little bit more about.
That sounds really boring.
Yep, sorry, I was on mute. I apologize. So every time we do a show, whether it be a main stage piece, our backstory program, or our children's tour program, we do a comprehensive study guide with it that dives into more of the background of what's going on in the play. It also gives character description, synopsis, all about scenic design, and we do it as like a virtual magazine. And the parents can keep it. They can print it out if they want to use it. And then in the back, we do activities and questions for discussion, which is great too. So the kids have the opportunity. Last year for Suzette, who's set to sea, we did some activities on how to create different types of boats in the classroom from everyday household items, because for our children's tour, we reach younger kids. So we want to make sure that they feel that they can be connected to the play. And that's always housed on our website. Now, with this new place of learning, what's really difficult is that we don't get to interact with the kids as much or do our talkbacks in person. So we're trying to figure out a way to make a more comprehensive study guide that adds in a lot more detail a lot more education components that aren't so, you know, regulated the same way they are in schools. So how do we keep these kids immersed in theater and interested in costume sets, the history of what's going on with this show, yeah, in this new virtual world?
Nice, nice, nice.
I think
Hey
one of
guys,
the
if you guys are Zoom bombing, this is going to be a really boring thing for you to Zoom bomb. So just go. Seriously.
I
If
was
you're
gonna
gonna
Zoom
Zoom
bomb,
bomb.
but this is pretty interesting,
Good
to be
job.
honest with
Good
you.
job.
Yeah.
Wait, what's a Zoom bomb?
It's a Zoom bomb.
So what's really
It's when an Arabic person comes in here and suicide bombs himself.
What? Wait, you can look up my name on the department. I'm actually Jack Thomas.
So what's one of the interesting things about this is that we're actually going to be focusing a lot on resiliency training is one of the things that we're doing is virtual resiliency pieces about this. This is something that's going into our children's tour study guide as well as our we had initially been having a national tour that was supposed to be happening, but it's not. So one of the pieces that we're looking at that. Yeah. What other questions do we have about things going on?
I really like your idea of getting the students to go do something and giving a time limit for that and then coming back. I think that's a really interesting idea. I think that that could also work for, you said virtual children's theater. I thought that was pretty neat. Then they can actually do it and get to talk about it afterwards. Maybe even record snippets of it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're thinking of is having sending kids to do works and then sharing them back. That was one of the things that we found that was really successful of this. I know that Zach and Alex can talk a bit about, they created a song specifically for the summer program and what that was like. And Michaela can talk a lot about what it was like to edit the song afterwards of having 30 individual voices singing.
That's cute.
Zach, Alex, do you guys want to talk about what that was like working with kids about creating a song and helping them through that?
Yeah, it was, it's challenging online, especially the music thing, you know, getting them all on board with it. But really the way we did it was a lot of tracks. So I would record stuff, or Alex would record stuff, and then we would send it and get it out to all the kids so that they could practice along with it, and then record it on 2 different devices. So they'd put headphones in and listen on one device, and then they'd record on another. And what we found was that actually just giving them the opportunity to sing, you know, was something that a lot of them needed, you know, and wanted. So it actually worked really well, and we got a lot of good feedback about that. So Alex, I don't know if you want to talk about it more. But.
Why did you give them 2 different devices? Explain like
So that was because you can't listen and record. So like if we sent them a voice memo download, we had them record just on their phone. The iPhone speaker is actually not bad. If you're going to put it through Zoom, it's going to be a similar sound quality no matter what you use, really. So and I actually talked to some friends who are in the music school at Syracuse, and they said that in the Hendricks Chapel Choir and stuff, they used their iPhones for that too. So I thought if they can use that, we definitely can for the children's show. And then we had them all email the tracks in, and Michaela compiled them in a pretty amazing way. And then we sent it out, and it sounded pretty awesome. I think it came together really well. So Alex, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Zach covered a lot of it, but we provided an instrumental track that Zach played on his guitar, and then he sent that to me ahead of time, and I recorded myself singing the song on another track. And we gave them, I don't know what the technical term is, Zach, I don't know if you remember, or Michaela, we gave them like a clap, like a set of 4 claps that they were to clap when they began their recording so that we could line up the audio. And I think they were able to get the hang of what they needed to do pretty well. And yeah, it was cool to watch them when we practiced. Zach had his audio on and he would play the guitar and sing it. Sometimes I would sing it. And then all the campers had their audio off. and to just kind of watch them get the hang of learning it. And it was also cool because they had the option, if they were, back to this trauma-informed teaching approach, to turn off their camera if they wanted, just while they were learning it, like if they're a little uncomfortable being seen when they're learning it. It was cool too to see them, how they interpreted the song physically, and we ended up giving them choreography that Michaela came up with. And the different ways to play with this medium and how to move within our box. It was cool. Yeah. There was like playing with depth and all the things that we can do within this square. So yeah, I don't know if I missed anything.
No, I think, yeah.
Oh yeah, keep going.
Sorry,
Kayla,
Kate.
sorry.
No, I thought it was great. I was just going to add to what I loved about it, and I know we'll get into this in a second, but having a Google Classroom where they had a place to reference the music and rehearse at any point was also monumental. So they had a music folder, and they had both tracks. They had Zach singing it. They had Alex singing it in another key. I mean, my niece was in this, and I would see her, I'm her parental guide on Gmail, and she'd sign in at 7 o'clock at night after dinner and get to rehearse it on her own. So having the Google Classroom component to rehearse before we all did the choreography and recorded together, it was very helpful. Yes.
I also made sheet music with the melody and the chord notations above the staff for the kids who learned better that way rather than listening to it. And they didn't actually give us feedback on whether or not that was helpful, but it was cool to have that be another option for them in different learning styles.
Yeah.
I do want to kind of preface a little bit. One of the really great things that worked for us and that we're continuing to do is that all the students got a camp in the box. So what we did is that we mailed to each of the students that was participating in the program a box, which had all the things that they would need. I think Kate has a sheet with all the lists, but it was like glue sticks and color pencils and materials and craft paper and foil paper and flashlights and Christmas lights, and so that they could create costumes and they could create
you can see the layout of all the images if you go to the Instagram of Syracuse Stage EDU.
Yeah, so they beforehand, not only could we all take out the same, pair of scissors or the same flashlight, we could use flashlights in the choreography, and it gave them something tactile to work with. And I think that was a huge plus, because if it's just this screen and nothing else, I'm not really getting anything new in my orbit. And they were asked to look at these things creatively. The other thing is that we gave them green plastic what do you call it? Tablecloths. So that and hooks to put it on. So they would put it on behind them, create green screens, and then as they were comfortable, they would create different virtual backgrounds for their green screens, or they could stick literal things on their green screens. Some people chose to paint stars on them, and other people chose to put forests on them. So it gave them a sense of authorship, especially for those who are doing set design or things like that, looking at how I can take this space that I'm in and design it, that I can be the author of my own design for that. And that also was true with puppetry. The box itself, the cardboard box itself, was recyclable. And so that they learned to make puppets out of it, cut puppets out of the cardboard, put brads into the joints, and then we gave them some materials to costume design their puppets as well.
I want to say two things about that to add on. The green screens worked if they took care or had explanation about making sure that they were flat against the wall. That was one of the things that we had a learning experience with. And then the other element that I really loved about our boxes is that it wasn't prescriptive. It wasn't take this piece of red paper and make a red robot. It was, which for some of the kids was a lot of a learning experience because they are often used to, these are the exact things that you're going to need to make this exact item. So there was a little bit of discomfort for some students there about doing this, but it didn't mean that we ended up having really cool ways of doing this that we would have never thought of. Like, part of our show was doing time travel, and it was one of the students who figured out that she crumpled the tin foil into a cone and then stuck one of the finger lights in it and held it up directly to the camera. It made a really cool Doctor Who-esque time travel vortex, which is not necessarily what our intention was, but it was something that they came up with on their own. So it was, it also made it so that all of our students had the same base level. All of us live with different people, or I assume most people live with other people. Being able to find a pair of fabric scissors versus a pair of paper scissors in your household can become near impossible. So we made sure that they were sent home with 2 sets of scissors. So that they could have a paper scissor and a fabric scissor. And we explained that on the first day, so that fabric scissors did not become paper scissors.
And please chime in if you have any questions along the way, you know, if we kind of skim through stuff, because again, we want to make sure that what we're talking about also suits what you're doing. And I don't know if Michaela, you want to talk a little bit about how you layered the music for the singing?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I actually was just pulling up. I'm wondering if I should show you guys just that small. I have the 2-minute clip of them singing. So what I did was, as they emailed us all the MP4s, I put it into an audio file on an editing software. And what really helped with aligning the audio was having the 4 claps. And then I could just splice that part, and that's where the song would begin. And then from there, what I had to do was match voices, because we had a program, girls sang higher, some sang a little bit louder than others. So we had to figure out how to layer so it looked like they were all singing almost like in a chorus together. So the first verse only has 6 voices, and then in the chorus there is about 20 voices. Then it fades to another 6 for the second verse, and then it's all of them at the end. And just playing with levels and figuring out whose voices kind of sounded best together. It was really interesting, but I think I have for you guys right here.
I think you can screen share too, Michaela. I think I've got it set so you can.
Great. I'm just gonna fast forward to where they get to sing together. Here we go. Okay, so if we hit screen share here on my desktop, and let me. I have to take my headphones out so you guys can actually hear it. Resume. Don't keep your headphones in if you're screen sharing, because you can't hear anything. All right. Another note, sorry, real quick, is while they're singing, all of their screens are muted, and they're actually lip syncing to their audio track that was built for them of all of their voices.
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I am. It's getting dark and I just don't know. Way to burn me. I'm lost and I'm I'm not gonna be okay. Will I see tomorrow? Take me back to yesterday. Take me back to yesterday. I think I might just stay and insist. Or maybe spray till it's clean. It's getting dark and I wonder, I too will Am I lost? Am I falling? Am I gonna be okay? Will I see tomorrow? Take me back to yesterday. Take me back to yesterday. Take me back to yesterday.
That was amazing, everyone. Let's gather on the stage.
Oh, that was weird because I saw Alex in this Zoom. Yeah, so we did that, and then what was really cool about the finale was like they made the tin foil and did a lot of light stuff, and I was able to have them in the same squares, and I edited them over each other so it looked like they were time traveling while singing, so the lights were kind of fixated over them, and really just even teaching them, we gave them small gels, and you can place a gel right in front of your screen and it would change the whole screen color, right? Or yeah, virtual backgrounds, or if you don't have access to gels, you can use cellophane, and just everyone cuts out like a Post-it size of cellophane, and it fits over your screen perfectly. And yeah, and it can change the ambiance of the room. We gave them flashlights, finger lights to kind of help move things without searching for stuff. So yeah, the camp in the box was definitely helpful. Yeah, and just trying to teach them how to do choreography and singing over video, because some of them, they do have, you know, not everyone has the greatest internet access, right? So trying to figure out how to do that. We actually took the lyrics to the song and then typed in small choreography notes in like a brighter color. So again, they have that access in the Google Classroom, and if they wanted to at a separate time, okay, I can go practice. And we did off screen, which was huge, I think. So if you had lunch from noon to 1:30, the first half hour eat lunch, but then from 12:30 to 1:30, take the time to go over the choreography notes, to practice the track, to do some journal entry, build your costume. And that gave them an hour of trust in time. There's a gel, there it is. Yeah, they gave them an hour of us trusting them to put something together to help build our final production. So I miss them. After watching that, oh, it went by so quick.
I think Michaela brings up a good point, which your internet speed is a big factor in this. So we just had basically a trial and error thing of how, like, we sent an email to parents of these are some of the things that are best practices, like using an Ethernet cable if it's possible to plug directly into your router. Checking, like actually going internet speed on Google and testing to see what your internet speed is. Figuring out if you sit in a different spot in the house. We had a couple of students who, if they sat here as opposed to here, we could hear them as opposed to their voices becoming very long. So different things like that, making sure that everyone can have the fastest possible internet that their particular household can have. And that was when actually the recordings that Zach and Alex were talking about became really helpful, because then if they recorded themselves off screen, it had nothing to do with internet. So their voices we could actually hear what their voices were as part of this. The other part is that these large groups sometimes suck people's internet speed. So we actually found that some students would have what would seem like a very poor connection if they were in the main Zoom room, but the second we went to a smaller breakout room, it was perfectly fine. So that's another factor that could be a helpful tip and trick.
Especially with music, because I know, Pam, you deal so much with music and stuff. So anything that's a recording or a performance in music, it's in order to share it, we felt record it and share the recording as opposed to trying to get that over Zoom. I'm just reiterating what Kate just said, but.
Oh, but a similar thing though is, so we had this with Michaela took the time to actually record the workout videos. But then when we tried to share the workout videos through a screen share situation, so we'd be all on this, that it wasn't the best. So, and this was also something we have the Young Adult Council, which is a group of high school students that, in the before times, we'd all get together and watch the Syracuse Stage productions and then discuss them afterwards. In the current times, what we've been doing is watch parties of other organizations' shows. And we had initially tried the screen share, but have found it much more productive if everyone just hits play at the same time. Because that way we're still able to use, the chat is something that we love and hate, because the chat is something that in that, one of the things about Trauma Informed is creating community, which is something that seems like it's very hard to do in this Zoom world, but the chat is really a big part of that creating community. But on the other hand, if you get a bunch of middle schoolers together with a chat as an option, gonna go off to the races. So on the one hand, they created a really vibrant community. On the other hand, it was a very vibrant community. So how you moderate that is something that is up to you guys as artists, as teachers, and finding that line behind it. And sometimes it is something as simple as us putting in the chat, like sometimes supporting your ensemble is paying attention. So those kind of things. Oh, that was the other thing actually that we did brilliantly, is in those small breakout rooms, is just like you would establish the rules of your class, is we established the rules of our Zoom classroom and had students act out what those rules would be, and like what it would look like if you weren't following this guideline, and what it would be if you were following that guideline.
Another part was them turning off their camera. So having them, again, saying, listen, how would you feel if you're talking to somebody, you know, and we're participating in something, having your camera turned off? Because, you know, you want to see the eyeballs, right? So I think that's, you know, getting them, I think Kate was constantly going, camera on, please, camera on, please. Because they'll do what they do in a regular classroom. Because if they have their phone, they'll be texting. If they're going to be doing, they'll do what they normally do. And we can't stop that, but what was great about it is that we were just saying, listen, we're not talking about a long time. The other really great thing is our timing that we found out was very successful. So we started at 10 and we went to 12. And like Kate mentioned before, we had an hour and a half off so that they could have lunch and have enough time for their off-screen activity. And then we would come back for another hour. So we didn't do a whole 3-hour block because we didn't want to fry them from the computer. So what it would start off with, a big group, breakouts, back to big group, an hour and a half off, and then back again, and depending on what that day needed or how they would share their information. So the end of the day was a little bit about sharing what they had created during their off-screen time, which also made them accountable to doing what they had to do for their off-screen time.
I think another part of that was making sure we moved our big muscle groups was part of that, either having a shakeout or some kind of movement activity. Zach, can you talk a little bit about some of the Zoom games that you have found very successful in this Zoom world?
Yeah, so one of the big things, first of all, is my big thing is that energy on Zoom, you have to bring that, right? Because if you as the teacher have the kind of like chin down, face down, camera like this, students are going to do it, right? That's what it is. That's why when I'm teaching, I'm always standing up on Zoom. I move around, I'm going from place to place, you know, especially as a teaching artist playing improv games where we want high energy and impulse being passed, I stand up and move around, right? I basically have been using a lot of improv games that are impulse passing type things and name games and transferring them to Zoom. One of the big reasons for that is that people just like to hear their names. And it's, especially on Zoom, it's cool to watch an impulse go back and forth. You don't think it works, but it works on Zoom. So like one of the big games that I use, we'll just do one really quick. Another thing before I do it, a great thing, especially Jacqueline, I know you said you're a teaching artist, and Misty, I know you do a lot of theater stuff. For the theater people, getting into an improv jam right now, a lot of New York theaters and other places have open improv workshops that you can go to. I know one that I'll throw out is Letter of Mark Theater Company. They have a great one, and you can get on, and it helps because you're playing these games and you're doing it in a Zoom format, and you kind of get more comfortable. That's how I, at the beginning of the summer, got more comfortable with doing this stuff on Zoom. And a lot of those are free too, which is really cool. So one of the games is called Rubber Biscuit, and the way that it works is I will say hi to someone, then they will respond thank you with my name, and then pass it to someone else. So the way that that would work is I would say hi Alex, and then Alex would say thank you Zach, and pass it to someone else. So hi Alex.
Thank you, Zach. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Alex.
So Joanne,
Hi.
thank you, Alex. Then
I already met.
good job.
Thank you, Alex. And then I would say hi to Michaela, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, Michaela.
Thank you, Joanne. Hi, Kate.
Thank you, Michaela. Hi, Melissa.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, Dawn.
Thank you, Melissa. Hi, hold on, I have to see who's not been used yet. Pam.
Thank you, Dawn. Hi, Misty.
Thank you, Pam. Hi. Yeah, did we use everybody? Jacqueline? Did Jacqueline?
I think because Jacqueline's on mute. So just, I mean, you could throw it back to Zach.
Thank you, Pam. Hi, Zach.
Thank you. Awesome. Great job. That was perfect. So just like that, just passing it around, right? And if you notice while I'm doing that, I'm going like, yeah, like encouraging the energy, right? Especially if it's a younger group of kids, keeping that energy up is great. And then you can throw in different variants like Rubber Biscuit. And the way that that works is if I throw it to someone, Rubber Biscuit is a send back. So if I sent it to Alex and said, hi, Alex, and then she said,
Rubber Biscuit.
thank you, Rubber Biscuit. Hi, Kate.
Rubber Biscuit.
Thank you, Rubber Biscuit. Hi, Joanne.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, Michaela.
His name's Zach.
Hi. This is why.
Wait, keep the energy going. Pass it.
Thank you, Joanne. Hi, Dawn.
Thank you, Michaela. Hi. I look on the list again. Melissa.
Thank you, Dawn. Hi, Pam.
Rubber Biscuit.
Thank you.
Rubber
Biscuit. Yep.
Thank you, Rubber Biscuit. Hi, Zach.
Thank you. Great. Awesome. So that's a variant. And then the last variant you can throw in, this is really fun with younger kids especially, is you can say glitch. And when someone says glitch when they get it, everyone does a beatbox and robot dance, right? So if I passed it to Alex and she said glitch, it would go a little bit like this. Hi, Alex.
Glitch.
For about 10 seconds, then Alex passes it.
Hi, Joanne.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, Kate.
Glitch. Hi, Michaela.
Rubber Biscuit.
Thank you, Rubber Biscuit. Hi, Misty.
Hi, Kate. Rubber Biscuit. Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Rubber Biscuit. Hi,
Thank you,
Pam.
Misty. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Hi, Melissa.
Thank you, Pam. Can I glitch?
Yeah, glitch. All right, and freeze. Nice. Good job. That was awesome. So immediately, see, that's just one game, and the entire energy of this room has changed now, right? And it's more positive, more kind of smiling. We're all having fun, right? So that's what these games can do. And this is also a great opportunity to throw in things like having your kind of Jeopardy buzzer on the mute and unmute button, right? So you can get people kind of engaged with their own. Now they're off, when they come back in. So it's a great way to start kind of introducing some of those Zoom techniques in the thing. But that's about all I got. I mean, I have a ton of games, but those are all games that I've taken from doing Zoom improv work. And so if you really get into one of those improv workshops, they'll run for an hour and a half on one night a week. And there's tons of them going on right now. You're not only supporting small theater companies, but also it helps you. So, yeah.
I think the other part of that is building off of the games kind of that is how we had a check-in basically every morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
what I'm feeling. And we kind of had a different theme every day. And it was a way for us to get a handle on what the students were feeling, as well as that kind of, what is the word that you use, Zach? Impulse. There we go.
Yeah, and so that's what we do at the top of the session, and then at the end, this is a technique I learned from my coworker at my other job, is it's called reinforcing. And so the way that works is basically you close out every session doing it, and you just reinforce one thing that was positive or that worked or that you remember from the workshop, right? So I would start and say, I reinforce the positive energy we all brought to that improv game, right? And then I would say, Alex, and then Alex would do her reinforcement and then pass it to someone else. And it's really cool because what ends up happening is that sometimes you think that no one's listening and no one's involved in the session, and then they'll reinforce the most amazing things that you never thought they picked up from the session, and it closes it on a really positive note, which is awesome, I think.
So going back, any questions or any other ideas from any of you?
What have you found that works really well?
I participated in breakout sessions with Zoom before, and that was the most creative thing that I've done on Zoom. And I liked that a lot because I felt like I was actually talking to people. It was so good. But I also have a question regarding you had this amazing term for it, trauma-centered approach. So is that, my idea is maybe what you're saying there is that you're very aware that this is a crazy time period, and so you don't want to add to that.
Well, it's kind of a bigger thing than that, and I think all of us can talk about this a little bit, is the idea of, and I'm going to, because I have gone down this rabbit hole so hardcore this past week, Joanne and Michaela can attest to this, is that the idea of we have a thinking brain and we have a reacting brain, right? So the reacting brain is the brain that we think of that does fight, flight, or freeze, which is, our brains are all very wired towards that right now because we, and when you're in the fight, flight, or freeze response, that's the one where like your skin gets clammy, where your breathing gets faster, all that kind of thing. It goes off. So one of the things that Michaela talked about was in order to bring down that response that sometimes people have when they get, what I get in front of a large group of people is where your thinking brain doesn't work anymore, is something called box breathing. So that's one of the methods that we use. But trauma-informed is all about kind of the idea that everyone has gone through different traumatic events, whether it is the COVID, whether it's things at home, all of this. There are different trainings that you can go through that can talk about that, just keeping it in your head. Michaela can talk a lot about this. She's had way more training than I have on trauma-informed teaching artistry.
Yeah. There's a couple other BOCES gals in here, right? People? Yeah. So, I mean, when we do professional development, we're working with such a diverse group of kids that are often emotionally disturbed. Their environments can really affect them, and their happy place and their happy environment is at school or at their learning environment with us. So how do we know how to handle what they go through at home so that it doesn't translate into the classroom? They know this is their safe space. They know that they can be themselves. But the added part of it this time around is that their safe place is a computer screen, and they're still at home. So for all we know, something really negative could be going on in the family room. They have other siblings that maybe, trigger upsets. So yeah, we did, the first one we did, it was a lot more of like a biological scientific component with a BOCES social worker and school psychologist. And they really walked us through, because we had kids last year, for instance, this was our second year doing a summer program. And we had kids last year that, you get the whole, this is who their doctor is, this is their insurance, oh, they have allergies, but not this social emotional component that they, have really experienced some trauma and they don't know how to connect in their friend groups. They think the world may be out to get them, all of these different components. And then, you know, we're going to put them all into a Zoom room together and figure out how they're going to open up to us. They've never seen our faces before. And now you've taken away that connection of being together in a classroom or in a dance studio or, you know. So the trainings were really informative and just learning how to connect with the kids. And to go back to you, Misty, with the breakout rooms, it was actually really great to learn about these kids if they were experiencing some form of upset or trauma and we could see it. We could either privately text one another in the teacher group message or in the chat and say, oh, okay, you know, Jackie isn't feeling too well. And then with risk management, we always have 2 adults to 1 kid. 2 of us would break out into a room with the kid and we would just do box breathing, the 3 of us. We'd all stand up together. We're here for you. What do you need? I'm sorry that, you know, your internet's lagging or your lines, you know, didn't work out the way you wanted. Let's all breathe together for 5 minutes. And we'd just do the box breathing together, create a sense of community, and then they could come back to a bigger room. We had another girl finding that in her smaller groups, Alex and I had her in a group together, she just needed a little extra TLC and just wanted to chat. And I think it was great to just, again, 2 of us go to a breakout room. Hey, you seem kind of down today. Like, we're here for you. What can we do? You have our emails in the Google Classroom, like whatever you need extra after hours. So just learning about trauma-informed care and how you can translate that into a digital setting was huge. But that's where I really loved breakout rooms, was sometimes they're overwhelmed. Even in their Google Classrooms, they don't have 32 other people staring back at them and 6 of them being teachers. So breakout rooms were super helpful in that way with trauma-informed care.
The other thing to that of staring at yourself the whole time, one of the things that I don't know if you've discovered yet is you can actually hide your self view. In Zoom, if you go up to the 3 little dots, yeah, I know. If you go up to the 3 dots, you can hide self view. And for some students who really don't want to self-analyze, A+.
Yeah.
So that's something that's been very helpful for us. And I think in terms of the trauma-informed stuff, like Michaela was talking about, there's also a bunch of different things that you can Google online about trauma-informed teaching artistry, all of those things. And I am sure there are a bunch of tutorials available. It's something that was really helpful for us. And I think that the Zoom platform has actually been a really big help for that. Because in a classroom, it's sometimes very hard to have those small breakout rooms, particularly with some sort of anonymity, or like so that the kid doesn't feel like they're being singled out as this. With Zoom, they just kind of go away. Dawn, you can click those same 3 dots and you can show my video again. Or it could be in your top right and there's a little thing saying show self view. And then you'll come back. Or whenever you restart Zoom, your face will come back anyway.
It's also right next to speaker view. You should see exit full screen, speaker view, and then show self view up at the top right corner when you hover your mouse.
Yeah.
This was also a good portion of our day.
Yeah, and this is a good time to really quickly say that in Zoom, if I was going to play a game or teach a lesson to 30 people in real life and knew it was going to take 20 minutes, assume that in Zoom, it's better to do 7 people and it'll take 40 minutes. It's double the time and cut the numbers in half if you can, and if you can get more people in the room teaching and split, it takes a long time. That game that we played just now, the Rubber Biscuit, if there was a group of 20 kids in here, that game would take like 30 minutes to do, and that's just a warm-up game. So just be aware that on Zoom it takes a lot longer. So
that's what we have. I think we covered a lot of the big topics for us. Do we have any other questions that you guys are burning to know, or things that you've learned that you think we should really know, or questions, all that kind of stuff? No?
Yep.
We do want to mention that we're going to be starting some virtual classes soon. So I think we had, we're interested to know if your thoughts as people who work with students or have students of your own, weekends or weekday afternoons. Thoughts on those, and whether either of any of your organizations would be interested in having us teach some after-school classes. I know that there are some schools that are having extracurriculars and some that are not, so just stuff like that. We can put our emails in the chat as well. Thoughts?
I love the idea of classes. I think that's really, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and they'll be both for kids and also for adults and teachers. We had started professional development last year, and we know as teachers, you give and give and give, and sometimes you need to nourish yourselves. So they'll be both for the, like, looking at after school programming for kids, and again, like what we mentioned, partnerships of if you're looking for stuff to put into your classrooms or your curriculum. Kate is the person to email. I'm going like that, like if you know she's on my side. And because we do have performances that have also have trauma informed training inside of the study guides and study materials and things like that. But we're also looking at kind of partnering with all of you and seeing, how can we make this just better all the way around for all of our mental health.
Joy, sorry, Misty. Oh, and
I just kind of like was just something I was thinking about because, at the high school level, we talk a lot about the different parts of the theater. So like the business office, the set design, the costume design, like it's not just the actors on stage, it's everybody. Is there any opportunity that maybe we could get different people from different departments to maybe do like master classes with high school students? Just to give like kids with the arts, like, so it's not just, the actors, but like kids that are interested in like art, like set designers can come in and talk to them about that kind of stuff. Just that's something that I think I know my seniors would absolutely love.
Awesome. Yes, that's definitely something that we could do. And I think, Melissa, if there's a way that we could have it where it could be something like this, where it could be a Q&A with, say, our master electrician, our production manager, or something like this, where I think that if we could have it where it'd be with multiple schools, might be the one where it's most effective. So if there's a way that we could figure out a way to get that out to multiple schools.
I would definitely, like, I know people in some school districts, but I mean, I really do feel this year, I don't know. We had a webinar about the performing arts in our school, so I don't know what kind of decisions were made about that, but Colin Keating and I were just talking about bringing our drama, like our, drama back. And like, of course, this is happening this year. So just to keep things going, I feel like so many school districts would benefit from all of this. So I think you'd get a lot. I know Baldwinsville would definitely be like willing to talk to anybody. My kids are going to be like definitely wanting this.
Brilliant.
So we're in. Whatever you want.
Yay. Ironically enough, our summer production was about the day that COVID started and they couldn't do their show, right? So it was all about, we can't do our show. And Alex Keene was their teacher. And then they had to figure out how they were going to make the best of it and how they were going to come back in time and finish it. So it, we talked about stuff that was really happening to them so that they could deal with that, and also saying, okay, well, this is the new platform and it works. The best part was at the end, I feel, after we put all this stuff together, was we did a lip sync battle with the kids. And I can't tell you how awesome that was, because they had now learned how to do music, how to do lip syncing, how to do choreography with Michaela. They still had their stuff in the box, and they just went all out creative. Like, we just sat back and watched them direct and choreograph and put small groups together and choose a song. And it was just, that was the best thing, just seeing, wow, they know how to incorporate all the stuff they've been taught as if they hadn't really been taught it. It's like, it's seeped in there.
Oh, it was so great. The one group, the first group, they did Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, and they all turned off their lights, and they got their flashlights and put it under there and did it just like in the music video. And I was like, oh my God. They had so much fun. And then another group did Les Mis, and they took a bunch of their fabric and waved their red flags for the revolution. I was like, oh my God. They soaked it all in. It was incredible. They had so much fun. That was great to see at the end. Ugh.
Also, we all lip synced, like the teachers, the teaching artists did a song. We told them we were going to do it, and we were like, okay, we have to do it now. Right. And they loved it.
Oh, yeah.
That is so exciting for kids to see, like, their teachers take off their teacher hat and become, just like be silly. It sets an example that, like, this is something that's okay, and to fall down, get back up, like, just whatever impulse comes to you, you're letting it out. It's good to see adults doing that.
Yeah, and thank you, all three of you, for the work you're doing to keep theater alive in your schools. I mean, it's super important, because I do think a lot of people think it's like done now for a while, and that's just not true. And the kids are yearning for it. I just talked to some of my younger cousins, and they basically log on, a teacher shares a screen and talks, and that's what it is. And they need to get up, and they need to move around and express themselves and sing and do that stuff. So thank you for pushing for that to continue.
Yes.
You guys are rock stars.
Yeah.
So
our emails are in the chat.
So awesome. It's great information. Thank you.
Of course.
We are here. You have our emails. Phone doesn't really work because it goes to our offices and we're not there, but our emails do. So we look forward to hearing from you guys, and all of our stuff's going to be posted. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and our website. That's where all of our stuff's going to be updated.
Kate also runs an education advocacy board, if you would like to be a part of that as well.
Melissa's on it.
Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah. So we also have that as well. So let's grow our teacher community as well.
Yep. So
awesome. Thank you, guys.
You all.
Thank you guys so much.